kids, and welcome back. This is your weekly horoscope for October 14th through October 21st. So this is a big week as we are closing the chapter on Libra season. So let's jump right into this. On the 14th of October, we have the Sun continuing this big opposition to Mars, battle of the hottest planets. This is a time where we're continuing through this pressure, this intensity, for some of us, big time for working hard, getting things done. Many of you feeling that fire, that push. Some of you also, though, running into complications and frustration. And so for those of you who are in this battle, in this conflict, where things are not going your way, big time to really find that sense of peace and balance within yourself. If you need to take a break, taking that break, finding that calm within the storm as we are going through this intense week, especially as Pluto is now direct. So remembering that we came into this opposition of Sun and Pluto with this direct motion where Pluto is very intense now. It's breaking down our reality once again, this time externally as we continue to move forward through this process. As that retrograde took us through this internal transformation, we're seeing this all happen externally now as it is moving forward, progressing forward. It's a very intense week as we continue ahead here. A lot of room to get things done, to push forward, to get those challenges and obstacles out of the way so that we can start to work, right? Remembering that this Mars is in retrograde where you might feel that delay of energy, but with this Pluto direct in Capricorn, that push, that intensity to work hard to get things done in our lives is very strong now. Moving forward, we also have the Sun entering into a square with Pluto. So talk about the intensity continuing. And so as we're coming out of this Sun opposition Mars, this Sun square Pluto, adding to that power, that intensity that we talked about with that intense Pluto opposition and square that we came out of. And so now the Sun is coming in as well. So Sun is battling not only the hottest planet, Mars, but also this very deep, intense planet of Pluto, where now we are exploding with this transformation, this power, this intensity, and many of you already feeling it before we're even going into this moment here. Of course, with the 13th being the start of that Mercury retrograde, some of you are feeling this energy, this intensity before the retrograde starts, as that retrograde will start to slow things down, start to take us through a deeper, more introspective place in our lives. And of course, Pluto is in the stronger position here as the Sun is in Libra. Remembering that the Sun is debilitated in Libra, where the Sun does not like to be here, right? The Sun would rather be in the opposite in Aries, where it's fired up, it's ready to go. Many of us still on the fence about decisions, weighing our decisions and our choices, going back and forth. And so big time of looking to Pluto and Mars for that passion, that drive, but especially Pluto, as Mars is in this retrograde. Many of us running into frustrations, into problems, into difficulties once again, and needing to find that peace, that calm within the storm, and finding a better route to take. Also on the 14th, we have Jupiter sextile Neptune continuing here. We saw this Jupiter sextile Neptune play out several times throughout last year and throughout this year. Of course, this is a battle between this Jupiter in Capricorn with this Neptune in Pisces. And yes, this is harmonious. However, this is a time where you want to be cautious of daydreaming, hoping, believing. I'm seeing more and more with my clients every day and with everyone in the world now looking for these fast-paced answers in this difficult time. looking for your dreams to come true in this difficult time. But remembering that we have Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn in Capricorn, where we must take those gradual steps to get to the end result. We can't have everything right now, but what are the logical steps that we can take to get there? The 15th, Sun square Pluto continues, and this Jupiter sextile Neptune continues, still in this place of needing to find the best possible way to get our work and our responsibilities done to move forward. Once again, if you are getting tense, frustrated, stressed out, angry, finding that calm place, that center within the storm, and finding a better way to get to that outcome. 16th, we have a new moon in Libra, and I will make a separate video on this. This is a fresh new start. Of course, that new moon is always a great time to start a new project, to get started on something new in our lives, but remembering that at the same time we have a Mercury retrograde and a Mars retrograde. So a lot of conflict, a lot of frustration that can come up during this time, especially as these are two retrogrades that are happening in both signs that are ruled by Mars. Scorpio with that Mercury retrograde and Aries with that Mars retrograde. So a lot of conflict, a lot of pressure, a lot of difficulties, a lot of challenges and blocks that can come up during this time. So being very cautious of being frustrated, being angered, right? Big message that is coming up during this week is watching anger, watching frustration, watching blocks that come up, not letting it defeat you, but instead finding that center, that calm, and re-strategizing, finding a better path to take during this time. And yes, with a Mercury retrograde, it is a time of reflection. It is not a time of inactivity. So this is a time where we can still take action, we can still take things done, but making sure that we're also doing the deep introspection, the deep reflection, especially as this is a Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, right? Scorpio dealing with psychology, dealing with the inner workings of the human psyche, going deeper, going into our traumas, our fears, facing our own inner conflict. Now, moving forward, on the 17th, we have Mars squaring off with Jupiter. So another big square that is taking place here with Mars. And remembering that Jupiter is unhappy, right? It is in Capricorn where it's debilitated. And so this is a Jupiter that is all about the vision being about reality. How can we take steps, wise steps, with the resources that we have? With the knowledge, with the tools, with the skills that we already have, how can we use that to take these gradual steps forward, as it is in Capricorn, where there is responsibility, there's maturity, there's reality, right? This is not just about dreaming, hoping, and believing, but what are the concrete steps that we can take during this time? On the 18th, we have a lot going on. We have the Sun squaring off with Saturn. And of course, the Sun and Saturn are natural enemies, as Saturn is ruling over Aquarius and Capricorn, right? All about rules, boundaries, restrictions. And it is at home in the sign of Capricorn. We will see it move ahead into the sign of Aquarius, of course, coming later on here in December into its second sign, where we will see a major shift there. But as it is here in Capricorn, heaviness, depression, rules, restrictions, limitations that are put in place here in our lives. And it is squaring off to this Mars that is in retrograde. So a lot of triggers that can come up during this time. Being cautious, once again, frustration, rubbing people the wrong way, rubbing yourself the wrong way, right? This conflict, this battle that can take place during this time with this intensity that is going on. So being very cautious of our actions, making sure that we're not getting into situations that cause conflict or that we are finding responsible ways to overcome these difficulties and conflicts that we are running into during this time. Also, on the 18th, we have Venus making a harmonious trine to Jupiter. And remember, yes, this is Venus, but this is Venus in Virgo, right? This is Venus in its debilitation. Jupiter also in its debilitation in Capricorn. And so even though these are benefics, Venus and Jupiter, these very much pleasurable, happy-go-lucky energies, they are in much heavier, grounded energy. This Virgo, this Capricorn, about what are your resources, what are your skills, what can you take, what can you build, what do you have here in this physical reality, not just the hoping, the wishing, the dreaming, the pleasure, the love, the beauty, but what is actually concrete in this world. So even though these are our benefics, remembering that they are here in these heavier signs where it is all about the resources, the work, the responsibility. So paying close attention to staying present in the moment and paying attention to the skills, the resources, the knowledge that you've built up, especially as this is a Venus in Virgo, right? That practicality of Virgo. What are the skills? What are the tools that you have in your belt that you can use in this moment to make this situation better? Also, we have Venus making an opposition to Neptune. So this is Venus that is debilitated in an opposition to Neptune, which is in its home sign of Pisces. Neptune getting the advantage here, where this is a huge time, right? And we talked about all the rest of the week being about reality, being focused on your goals, being focused on your work, paying attention to what is going on in your reality, not getting frustrated, not getting into difficulties, not hoping, wishing, dreaming, believing, but staying focused on what is concrete in this physical reality. But as Neptune in Pisces comes up in this opposition, time to find that balance of how can you pull your dreams into reality. And so remembering that we're doing all this work, all this focus, pushing through all these obstacles and difficulties to get to that dream, to get to that belief of what we want to create. And so how can we use this creative energy of Neptune in Pisces, right? This vision, this belief, this opportunity to mold and create what we want to bring into this reality. This is Venus. Venus is a very creative energy, but debilitated in Virgo, where it is dealing with the facts, the details, the resources, right? This is practical. And so what are these little skills and this knowledge that we can take to make that dream, that vision come true? And big time, we're in this conflict. We're trying to battle between, are we going to stick to our beliefs? Are we going to escape into our safe place? Or are we going to focus on the work and the responsibility that needs to get done? So finding a way to integrate both sides of the equation into this picture here on the 18th. On the 18th, we also have this Mars square Jupiter that continues along with that Jupiter sextile Neptune. So once again, continuing to push through, continuing to make those strides and focusing on what are those concrete skills and tools that we can use. So very similar to last week where we talked about what are those resources, what are those tools, what are the things that you can master during this time. Moving forward on the 20th of October, we have Mercury making an opposition to Uranus. So remembering that Mercury is here in Scorpio, where it is retrograde. Remember that that retrograde started on the 13th. And this is a Uranus in Taurus, in that fallen position, that debilitation, where Uranus is all about breakthrough, revolution. How can we upgrade to the next level? And so really pushing us through chaos and unexpected changes to take us to the next level, that letting go, and especially as it is in Taurus, where it's all about letting go to the things that we want to hold on to, right? That stubbornness, that fixity of Taurus, of holding on to what we once thought was valuable, that is no longer valuable, letting go, releasing that so that we can move on to the next level. And this is here in this opposition with Mercury and Scorpio, where we're digging deep, we're investigating into our trauma, into our fears, into our difficulties, really trying to find solutions and answers deep within with this Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. So big time to really make sure that we are understanding what do we need to let go with the fixity of Scorpio and Taurus. Of course, Scorpio wanting to hold on emotionally and Taurus wanting to hold on physically. What are the things that we need to detach from? And many of us letting go of things physically, but still having these emotional attachments to the past, to traumas, to difficult situations, living in fear, living in grief, living in shame, living in doubt, needing to find a way out of that so we can start to push forward and progress to the next level. And other of us on the other side of the coin, where we are holding on to these things physically in our lives and letting go of the emotional trauma. And so we're replacing this feeling of emptiness with something physical, whether that is food, whether that is an object, money, whatever the case may be. Big time where we need to find a place of release and letting go, that surrender, so that we can start to move forward and welcome into our lives the things that are of true worth and value, right? This is what these two opposing sides are about. This Scorpio energy and this Taurus energy is about what is valuable. Now, moving forward here, we also have this Mars square Jupiter that is continuing on, and it will continue on into the 21st. But also on the 21st, we will see Pluto coming into a harmonious trine with Venus. And so this is a powerful moment of this Venus and Virgo, using our skills, using our practical knowledge, using our resources, combined with this Pluto in Capricorn. How can we reconstruct our lives? How can we reconstruct our work and our responsibilities? Moving forward, using this passion, this drive, this power of Pluto to work hard to get our responsibilities done. So huge week where this is filled with opportunities, filled with moments where we can use this energy, this drive to come up with new answers and new solutions to problems, pushing forward with this strong energy of these Mars squares happening all week and this Plutonian energy as well. Lastly, for this week, I pulled a card. Two cards actually came out. The first one being Mars in reverse. So this is a time where we talked about this anger, this frustration, this inner conflict that can arise, especially with Mercury retrograde being in Scorpio. Are we seeing where the inner conflict, the difficulties, the fears, the blocks are subconsciously, moving through this, working through this, finding the solution with this Mercury retrograde in Scorpio? And for many of you, a lot of this will be reflected in your relationships, in your interaction with others, finding that place where you need to heal and work through your issues so that you can be reborn into the best version of yourself. So a lot of internal battles and conflict going on, especially in this week, as we have entered here into this Mercury retrograde, and a lot of that combativeness with Mars and the other planets, as well as Pluto. The next card that came up here was Venus. Our answer to this is finding peace and harmony, right? Finding that quiet space, finding that deep place within where we can relax and find that center within the storm that we talked about. So, huge week where we can use this energy, this drive to work towards what we want to build and create with this Venus and this Mars retrograde, along with understanding not to get into those ego battles, not to get into anger and frustration, but to really find the solution, to find the better way around these difficulties. That is your horoscope. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you like this, feel free to leave a like as well as a comment. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button as well as the notification bell.